you ever imagined what it would be like if your life was on a pendulum? I mean, constantly swinging between these euphoric, on top of the world highs and then the most crushing, isolating lows. Well, today, we're going to dive deep into the world of bipolar disorder, not just as a diagnosis, but as this incredible human journey from chaos to resilience. And just to get a sense of the scale here, let's start with a number: 40 million. That's how many people around the world are living with bipolar disorder. To put that in perspective, that's like the entire population of California. So yeah, this isn't some rare thing. It's a global reality that touches millions and millions of lives every single day. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's not about just having mood swings. It's about living in two completely different worlds. One minute, you feel absolutely invincible, like you can do anything. And the next, you're just in a total free fall, heading straight into this abyss of despair. It's a constant, exhausting back and forth between these massive extremes. And it's because of that huge challenge that every year on March 30th, we have World Bipolar Day. The theme, Bipolar Strong, isn't just some catchy hashtag. It's this powerful statement about the incredible strength and courage it takes to live with this condition day after day. Okay, but what does bipolar strong actually mean? To really get it, we first have to understand the spectrum itself, because it's not just one thing. The key is knowing the difference between its core states. You've got mania, the less intense hypomania, and of course, depression. So let's break down what each of those really looks like. Now, this is a super important distinction. Bipolar I is defined by having at least one full-on manic episode, which can get so severe it completely upends someone's life, maybe even leading to hospitalization. Bipolar II, on the other hand, involves hypomania, that less intense high, but, and this is key, it is always paired with major depressive episodes. And here's the point I really want to drive home. Bipolar II is absolutely not a milder version. That's a huge, harmful misconception, because people with bipolar II can spend way more time in the depths of a truly debilitating depression. And then there's cyclothymic disorder. The best way to think about this is like constant emotional static in the background. For at least 2 years, you're having these highs and lows, but they never quite get severe enough to be called full episodes. It's this persistent, low-grade instability that can still be incredibly disruptive. So we've talked about the what, the different ways this shows up. But what about the why? Why does this happen in the first place? To answer that, we gotta go deeper. We have to look under the hood at the biological blueprint of the brain itself. We're talking genetics and neurology. And this is where the story gets really fascinating. Bipolar disorder isn't like a lot of other conditions. It has an incredibly strong genetic link. In fact, it's one of the most heritable psychiatric conditions we know of, which means if it runs in your family, your own risk is quite a bit higher. And if you need a number to really put a fine point on it, here it is. Genetics account for a staggering 70 to 90% of the risk. That's huge. It tells us that while your environment plays a part, for sure, your own biological blueprint is really what's driving the train here. And this is what that blueprint actually looks like. Scientists have found almost 300 specific genetic spots linked to the disorder. These genes affect stuff like the brain's braking system, making it harder to pump the brakes on emotions. We also see actual physical differences, like less gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, that's your decision-making hub. And even on a cellular level, the brain's tiny power plants just aren't as efficient. It's a really complex story with a lot of moving parts. Okay, so understanding all that biology is one thing. But how do you turn that knowledge into actual real-world stability? Well, this next part is all about that journey, which is often a really long and frustrating one, of getting diagnosed and finding treatments that really work. Just look at this timeline. It tells a story of years of struggle. After symptoms first show up, people are misdiagnosed all the time. They get told it's ADHD or borderline personality disorder, and they end up on treatments that just don't work. On average, it takes 8 years. 8 years, can you imagine? That is a devastatingly long time to be suffering without knowing why. So how do clinicians finally crack the case? Well, they have tools, like this one, the Dig Fast Mnemonic. It's kind of like a detective's checklist for spotting mania. It stands for distractibility, insomnia, grandiosity, a flight of ideas, a big increase in activity, pressured speech, and thoughtlessness, which is just another way of saying risky or impulsive behavior. It's a really crucial set of clues. Now, when it comes to treatment, one medication has been an absolute game changer for decades: Lithium. And it's considered the gold standard for one very specific, life-saving reason. It is the only single medication that is proven to reduce the risk of suicide in people with bipolar disorder. That makes it an absolutely vital, life-preserving treatment. But treatment isn't just about medication. Not at all. To really get a handle on modern therapy, you have to think about the brain's internal rhythm, its circadian rhythm, as a kind of master clock. In bipolar disorder, that clock is basically broken. It's ticking too fast or too slow or just randomly, and it throws everything else completely out of whack. Your mood, energy, sleep, all of it. And that is where this really cool therapy called interpersonal and social rhythm therapy, or IPSRT, comes in. With this, you basically become your own clockmaker. The therapy helps you stabilize your daily routines when you wake up, when you eat, when you see people, to manually reset that internal master clock. It's a super empowering, hands-on way to take back control and get your body back into a stable rhythm. So we've seen how far we've come. But what's next? Well, the final part of our explainer is all about the future, a future where we're moving past just managing symptoms and into a world of personalized precision treatments. For people who don't respond to standard meds, things used to look pretty bleak, but this chart, it tells a whole new story. On the left, you've got the response rate for typical antidepressants. About a third of people get help from them. But now look at the bar on the right. For the toughest cases, neurostimulation like electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, has a staggering 80 to 90% response rate. I mean, it's a night and day difference. And that tech is getting even more precise. This is the real cutting-edge stuff, the SAINT protocol. It uses these super detailed fMRI brain scans to make a map of your individual brain. Then, it uses targeted magnetic pulses to zap the exact spots that control your mood. It's like a surgical strike on depression. And the results are, well, they're revolutionary. With the SAINT protocol, they've hit a 79% remission rate. And get this, it happens in just 5 days. 5. That's not just an improvement. That's a whole new ballgame, offering life-changing relief in less than a week. So all of this is pointing to a new era of what's being called precision psychiatry. We're talking about tailoring treatment to your personal genetic code. We're even starting to use data from our smartphones, our sleep, our activity, as digital biomarkers. Just imagine your phone noticing a change in your patterns and giving you a heads up that a manic episode might be coming before you even feel it. The whole goal is shifting from just surviving to actually thriving. So we've gone from a misunderstood spectrum to a biological reality we can literally map out. Our whole understanding is changing right before our eyes. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? As this technology gets better and better at mapping our minds, how is our whole definition of what it even means to be mentally healthy going to change with it?